Welcome into Locked On 76ers. Keith Pompey, Marc Farzetta. Why it is time to get excited, as Tom Mingus would say, when it comes to Paul George and the way he has played his first 10 games of the season. All that and more in this edition of Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And we do thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and now the number one podcast network for sports out there. Keith Pompey, your Inquirer beat writer for the 1098 76ers. Marc Farzetta with you. Been talking sports with you for about 20 years now in the city of brotherly love. Can't believe it's flown by like that. Paul George looks fantastic, especially over these last two games, albeit without Tyrese Maxey, but we'll get into why it should give a lot of people hope for when Tyrese Maxey does return to the lineup, hopefully Friday. Talk about that. Also, NBA Cup happened. Hope everyone's recovered from their wild NBA Cup party hangover, which I know everyone had, sarcasm. And also how the 76ers are handling this week of the layoff due to the NBA Cup. Keith Pompey, am I crazy, sir? Are Sixers fans crazy to be optimistic about the potential of Paul George breaking through whatever ceiling, whatever limitations, and reaching over the bar that maybe some other people set for him going into this season?
I think the 76ers need to be cautiously optimistic when it comes down to Paul George, right? And the reason being is because, there's a guy who has a long injury history. But as far as optimistic, because he hasn't shown us anything to say that he's not going to get better, right? Or he's not going to play to what they think he is going to. Now, is he going to come back and is he going to be that guy that you look for and you say, you know what, Tyrese Maxey, you may need to slide to the 3 or to the 2, whatever, but this is going to be Paul George's team. No, I feel like what we're seeing from Paul is we're seeing a guy who is, as he always says, he's here to help Maxey. He's going to do things on certain nights. Now, the 35 points that he had a couple of days ago against the Atlanta Hawks, I don't think that we're going to see this every night. You know what I mean? I think that there may be a couple games where he's a scorer. But what I do think we're going to see is we're going to see him play quality D. We're going to see him facilitate, and just bring some energy. So to me is, I don't know if he's going to be an all-star, if he's going to be, all NBA, whatever. But at the same time, I do feel like we need to be cautiously optimistic because Paul George has an extensive injury history. And, he can go down just like Embiid can go down.
All right, perfect. I'm glad you said that because that's the perfect segue. But first, I do want to tell people that this particular episode is brought to you by the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, use promo code LOCKEDONNBA, and get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Now, when it comes to Joel Embiid, Keith, that's the interesting parallel here because we've talked a lot about Joel Embiid and what his ceiling is and whether or not he's cooked as an MVP candidate in the NBA. But we haven't talked enough about Paul George, and now it's officially, in the 35-point game was his 10th game of this season. In the last two games, granted again without Tyrese Maxey, he has taken a leap forward more so than I expected. He has exceeded my expectations in these two games, and doing that, and quite frankly, so far this season, looking healthy in the 10 games he's played, has given me that optimism, that hope, similarly to the way it has with Joel Embiid, for what it could mean for the rest of the season. To your point, I don't think, hey, look, I'm not going Paul George is going to make an all-star team. I'm not saying Paul George is going to compete for an MVP or anything like that. But in terms of being that guy, Keith, that we thought at the best this is what the Sixers could get when they acquired him as that wing that Daryl Morey spoke so desperately about following the season 2 seasons ago, he could very well be that guy. Now, we're going to use that if word that we throw around a lot, unfortunately, with the Sixers because there are so many unknowns. But if Maxey is playing at something close to the level that he's playing at now, if Joel Embiid can give you, at the least during the regular season, those 2 solid games a week, and Paul George can stay healthy throughout this season, then I think you're looking at some pretty great things. And on top of that, what I think most people can be very optimistic about, and it could be a steadfast thing. You're talking about a 43% shooting percentage from beyond the arc. When the Sixers got PG, and we were talking about a 41% three-point percentage, that was a lot of optimism that he brought here, not just for what he could do with the wing, what he could do defensively, but if he could be a guy that Maxey can kick out to, and he knocks down that three, or he could be a guy that Joel Embiid kicks out to, and he can drain that three, that is a sight for sore eyes for this 76ers offense in terms of what he's bringing to the table. And right now, you're talking about a career high in those 43% points that he's hitting from beyond the arc.
Yeah. I think that can help out a lot. I mean, I honestly believe that. I mean, especially when you add in what you expect to get from Quentin Grimes as well. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think those two guys are sprinkled on the floor doing things, but more so than just the shooting. I do think that, and he mentioned this I think it was last week. Where he talked about the defense, like PG. He talked about that he felt like the defense could improve with him, Kelly, and Quentin. And when you think about that, and then VJ. So the thing is, VJ is a rookie. He's going to have ups and downs. But when you talk about those four guys on the perimeter, and, VJ, I would put right now, just because he's a rookie, I would put him at number 3 or number 4 in that category. Him and Grimes, so to speak. But when you talk about that makes them a whole lot better, a better squad. And then all of these, and the 3 of them are basically two-way players, right? All 4 of them. Kelly Oubre added to it. So with that, I think that's going to be the biggest benefit, because, effort is something that you can provide every night. There's going to be shooting's going to be off, right? But when you have as many guys, it's going to carry the offense. I also think that Paul is smart enough, being this in his 16th season, being 35 years old, to know that, look, dude, if I really want to get traded to a place that I want to go to, assuming if it doesn't work out here, if I want to have people stop talking about me making over $50 million a year and stealing money and saying I'm washed, I'm going to have to buy in and hustle and do all the other little things. And hopefully that's going to make people forget about those things, right? Because right now, let's face it, he can't get traded. At least before the season, he couldn't, because of people are looking at his production compared to his contract. But now his production is improving. But if he can go in and show that he can continue just provide this effort, people are going to probably stop talking about the salary, and they're going to stop saying that he's washed. So that's going to help him out.
Yeah, I'm surprised more people, and I don't know why it is. I've thought about it. I can't come to a conclusion. Tobias Harris, is it just because they were paying so much for Tobias Harris and it was a 5-year deal? This isn't as bad as that. Like I don't know, but that's what I think of. And nobody is talking about PG in that same type of vein. You know what I'm saying? Like that. I don't know if it's the length of the contract or what, but nobody's talking about wasted money yet. I don't know if it's because they look at Joel Embiid as the bigger question mark. Like there's bigger questions on the team than PG. I don't know. But it does remind me of that in terms of the situation where you're overpaying for the talent that you have. Now, unfortunately, at this point, the Sixers really can't do much about what they have right now. But I do look at Paul George, and I look at this team with a healthy Kelly Oubre and whatever you get from Joel Embiid now going forward, how healthy he can stay, as well as Paul George. I look at Quentin Grimes, and I also look at VJ Edgecombe and the level that Tyrese Maxey's at, and I'm like, damn, this Sixers team could be sneaky good at the end of the year when the health cards get done being dealt and we see where they fall. I don't think it's a far reach to look at the end of the year and go, this team could very well be a in the playoffs team and not a play-in tournament team. Is that overly optimistic, or is that an actual possibility?
It's weird. There's a possibility, but I actually think that they're still probably going to hover. I mean, like right now, what we saw them play 2 games, right? They were impressive, but one of them they lost to. I'm talking about, the last
Pacers and Hawks.
We talked about, that the Pacers, they were a bad, banged up team that's tanking, in my opinion, because, I look at them as I did the Spurs when they had David Robinson and they got Tim Duncan. It was one of those things. David Robinson was out. So they said, let's just tank and do what we got to do. Right. Mm-hmm. That's how I look at the Pacers. When I look at the Hawks, I was thinking like, dang, man, they don't have Tyrese Maxey. But then I looked at all the people that the Hawks didn't have playing as well. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be a good game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
But the fact remains is they still lost to the Hawks without their two best players, right? Or two of their best players. So I don't know, man. I feel like it's so bunched up and paired up down. The Sixers couldn't get the 6th seed. But I do think that once they play, we really won't know until they play the really good teams. And I think it's trending in a way for them to get the 6th. Now, I will say this. After they play the New York Knicks on Thursday, their next 3 games are against teams with losing records. So they should be able to get ground. The 2 teams that they had who were tough during this stretch, a 6-game stretch, were Atlanta and New York. So I expect them to lose on Friday in New York. I expect them to come back home and beat Dallas and then win a couple games, and everybody's going to be goo goo gaga all over them again, right? So I think that's just how it is. But we really won't know until January when they start playing some real squads again, how good they are.
I want to go back to your word, hover. Hover. I think that is the best way to describe it while still being optimistic. Because it means that, they can absolutely be a 6 seed. They're going to be hovering around that 6, 7, 8 seed kind of thing throughout the season. When we come back, let's talk about how the 76ers are handling this layoff. Again, with the NBA Cup, and shocking, the Sixers didn't participate in it. They are tipping off on Friday at 7 o'clock. That's actually going to be a prime video game at MSG against the NBA Cup champions, I don't know, of the world. I don't even know what you call it. New York Knickerbockers. We'll talk about that when we return. This is Locked On 76ers, the Locked On 76ers YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. Right now, I'm going to tell you about SKIMS. Yeah, that's right. Holiday shopping, SKIMS is where it's at. When SKIMS announced that they were making underwear for men, the reaction made perfect sense. People have been talking about SKIMS comfort for years. Most guys, though, they stuck to whatever they were wearing in college, high school, beyond. But SKIMS is something that you got to give a shot to. Once I tried SKIMS, I was like, I'm not going back to anything else. SKIMS is fantastic. They're designed to feel good, fit right, fit tight as well. Just right, as a matter of fact. And they actually stay put. No slipping, no sagging, no adjusting, no genuinely great underwear that makes you feel confident and comfortable. That's what they are. Stood out to me was the fit and the fabric of SKIMS. Soft, supportive, and comfortable all day long. They don't ride up. They don't lose their shape. It's SKIMS. You know the deal. SKIMS is awesome. Shop SKIMS Men's now at skims.com. That's SKIMS Men's at skims.com. Honestly, didn't expect underwear to be a game changer for me, but oh boy, has it. SKIMS completely surprised me. So once again, shop SKIMS Men's at skims.com. When you place your order there, choose podcast in the post-purchase survey and select our show, Locked On 76ers, from the drop-down menu, and they will know that we sent you. Plus, SKIMS Holiday Shop is open, so if you're looking for the perfect gift this season, SKIMS has you covered. Shop skims.com. And also, let me tell you about the Everydayer Club. I really hope you're taking advantage of this right now, because we do appreciate you making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network out there. You already live your team every day now. Take it up another level and go ad-free. Join Everydayer Club today for Locked On 76ers. You get no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more, all just for $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to lockedon76ers.supercast.com. Check the link and the show notes to learn more. So, yeah, Keith, what are the Sixers doing this week? There was the talk about Maxey potentially getting shots up on Tuesday. Yesterday, that didn't happen. Wednesday, anything? Thursday, anything? Friday, they got a game? When's the next time the Sixers are going to be together?
They actually practice in the day, and they'll practice tomorrow as well. They have practice today. I keep thinking, I'm like, Dad, what's today? What's today? And that's one thing when I cover the NBA. Sometimes you forget the days of the week.
Oh,
right?
yeah. And the Eagles playing Saturday doesn't help the sports week. It just throws everything off.
Yeah, I thought today was Thursday. But that practice in the day, they're going to have media availability they're suggesting that the media get there around 12:45. So it could be over by 1 o'clock, maybe 1:30, who knows? But, it's one of those things where, I'm going to tell you what they did last week. So they had a couple practices. They had a couple practices that were, what do you call those things? It wasn't official practice.
Shoot around?
Well, not shoot around, but it was kind of like one of those things. And the word is on the tip of my tongue, but it was optional. That's what it was. It was an optional come in there. And at times, Drew Hanlon works out Joel Embiid. He also works out Tyrese Maxey. He works out Kelly Oubre, a couple other players, right, around the league. And he was in there doing individual work with Joel and other people. And then what happens is then they have a real practice, the day before the game. So I assume it's the same thing that's happening right now. Guys are getting rested. Like a guy like Tyrese Maxey, a guy like VJ Edgecombe, he's still a rookie, but at the same time, they played a lot of minutes. So those are the type of guys you want to rest up. Guys like Andre Drummond, who had a banged up knee, get some treatment, do what you have to do. So I feel like this week, just like last week, is sort of the same stuff. But today, it's going to be an official practice. Tomorrow's going to be another practice. And then they're going to hop on the train or plane, whatever. I believe the train, they head up to New York for the game against the Knicks on Friday.
I hope the Knicks are okay coming down from, the NBA Cup high they're on right now, because, that could be devastating. But in all seriousness, I'm glad you mentioned Drew Hanlon, because after Embiid dropped 39 against the Pacers, I was a little surprised. I wasn't taken back, to use that, but I was a little surprised. So they get him in the post-game interview on TV, Kate Nalla, and he was like, yeah, after my, 4 for 20 performance where he shot terribly, whatever that was. Mm-hmm. He was like, yeah, I got with my shooting coach, Drew, and we were working some things out, and we worked out some kinks and all that. And I was like, oh, he's still working with Drew Hanlon. I hadn't heard Drew Hanlon's name in relation to the Sixers in quite some time. Is he around the team? Is he around Joel Embiid with any frequency, or is he just coming? He referred to him as the shot doctor, which, of course, of our generation, I think anyone would think Herb McGee, but he's talking about Drew Hanlon. Yeah, exactly.
Herb McGee, when he comes back.
Hell yeah. So I was like, whoa, Herb McGee was there? Oh, Drew Hanlon was there. That's who it was. So how often is Drew Hanlon around Embiid at the practice facility that you know?
See him around. I mean, I'm not saying you see him around. It's one of those things. I think Drew is one of those guys who's respected enough in the league. Okay. And I think teams are different. Like some teams don't want these guys in the facility doing stuff.
Right.
But Drew Hanlon, you'll come in there and it'll be like, on a Tuesday or something, whatever, and you'll see him, sitting down there talking to a player, and then next thing you know, he'll put them through a workout or they'll do something or whatever. So I think that it also depends on who the player is too, right? So if you have Joel Embiid, who's a franchise type player, he tend to get what he wants. So Drew Hanlon will be in there working them out, but then he also works out Maxey and Kelly Oubre as well, of other two players that at least I know of. So, they get the benefits of having him there too. So yeah, he's there, but he's kind of like a rover. And then you also see him at the Sixers games from time to time. Like he'll be watching the games and then, work out. You remember 2 years ago when Joel Embiid, or was it 3 years ago? Yeah, Doc Rivers last year when Joel Embiid came back, he got MVP, he went down, then he came back for the second round of playoffs. Well, Embiid and Drew Hanlon were actually working out every day in Boston, like getting workouts in at nighttime, getting his conditioning up, running up and down, doing stuff. A lot of people didn't know that, but that's just how Embiid wasn't really working out with the team. He was working out with Drew on his return to play plan.
Interesting. Did Simmons worked with Drew Hanlon, didn't he? Or am I getting that confused?
You know what? I don't think he did, because I know he worked with the guy with Now, the person who did work out with him was Markel Fultz. Simmons worked out with
Okay, that's what. Okay,
another guy. Yeah, Markel Fultz worked out with him.
Okay, because I remember thinking a
lot of people work out with Drew Hanlen. A lot.
That's how my idiot brain is associating it. Okay, got it. All right. So they'll get a little practice kind of thing in today, and then Thursday, and then they'll head up there. We'll look to hear from some members of the 76ers today at the NovaCare Complex. That's the Eagles, obviously. Yeah, in Camden today at the practice facility, and then get on that train on Friday and hope to take care of business coming up against the New York Knicks on Friday night at 7 o'clock. Again, that's a prime video game, by the way. When we come back, Keith, one of the things I want to jump into is that NBA Cup. Because, yes, let's peel away the obviousness of, like, why this exists, and let's get down to what it actually is. We'll talk about that when we return. This is Locked On 76ers on the Locked On 76ers YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. Back after this. And right now, I'm going to tell you about the Game Time app. The World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994 with 48 teams for the first time ever. It's going to be massive. But let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part, as it's been well reported, by the way. Game Time app, though, it's clutch, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. Not just seats, but great seats. Game Time, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It gives the advantage back to the fan, especially when we're talking about the World Cup, and it makes it realistic to attend, not impossible. You pull up the app, the Game Time app, that is. You lay it out, or the layout there makes it so easy to follow. You pick a game, tap the section, and you have your tickets locked in within minutes. No confusion, no hunting for the fine print. So take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets. And every match, concert, or event, comedy show even, Game Time app has you covered. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. That's promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase with the Game Time app. Now it's time to tell you about Robinhood. Nobody knows your money goals better than you. Robinhood puts you in control of your money with tools that work as hard as you do. Locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks, ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You can expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. Robinhood. Here's what I realized last night, Keith. I still don't care for the NBA Cup, but if you peel away all the BS that surrounds it, like why do they have to incentivize players for playing the sport? They're already well incentivized to play. Why are you giving them $333 million $330,000 to play this extra game, win this extra game? And what it comes down to is the bottom line is they are more excited to play. There is a little bit more enthusiasm in the middle of the season, early goings of the season. And if you're a basketball fan, you like watching people that are motivated. I don't like that they need this kind of motivation to play motivated, but nonetheless, here we are. So when I did check in on the game last night, I found it somewhat enjoyable. Did you get anything out of it?
Did you really?
I did. I honestly, but again, I checked in on it. I had other things I had to focus on, unfortunately. Yeah. I'm not, again, to go back to my peak of sarcasm on the show, I wasn't throwing a party. It wasn't like I was having the family reunion, like I would for a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? I was just following the game, checking in on it. I did see live the Karl Anthony Towns wraparound Wemby to OG down low on the baseline for that slide. That was cool. Seeing guys amped up to play was cool. Wemby's just fun to watch anyway. But it just, it does not. I will say this: it does not override the idea that I still hate it, and I still hate that that this is the commissioner's way of trying to keep the regular season interesting.
Yeah, I mean, so to me, it's weird. I mean, on Twitter, I keep saying Twitter, but it's X now. So I go on X before the game, and I said, hey, what's your level of interest? The only person who was interested in the game who responded, and I got quite a few back, the only person who was interested was Devon Givens. And that's because his nephew or his cousin is Mikal Bridges, right? And
yes.
he, and he played.
I love Devon.
So he was the only one who said he was interested. Now, again, if we would have polled people, and if I had a lot of Twitter followers in New York or San Antonio, I'm pretty sure they've been like, oh, yeah, this is the game. But to me, dude, the moment that the 76ers were basically stopped playing, I shouldn't say eliminated because I had to cover the other ones. But as soon as it was over, I stopped paying attention. I'm going to be honest with you, I did. And I missed, it was funny because a couple nights ago, I got a text from someone saying, yo, did you see what Wemby did? He had 22 and such and such. So I'm like, okay, dude, you're texting me over the dude having 22 points for talking Wemby. Then you realize, oh, he was on a minutes restriction and he did this. So with that being said, when Wemby played last night, I was into the game. When he came out of the game, I stopped really paying attention. And then towards the end, I'm like, okay, well, I start watching and, getting more into it. But it looked like it was okay. They were playing hard, but they were playing for the money. I'm just not a fan of it. I really am. I'm not. Because part of it is, okay, OKC is a good team. This and that. The Knicks are okay. But typically the teams that do good, at least the first couple of years, didn't particularly do well in the rest of the season or in the playoffs, the regular ones. Mm-hmm. We're talking about the Lakers won it. They hung a banner. We're talking about the Milwaukee Bucks won. Okay, but to me, it's like if your team is in it, you're excited. But what does it really mean at the end of the day? Now, the Knicks are hoping and praying that they could be a team that wins both of them. But at the same time, I'm not really into it. Now, I will say the Indiana Pacers were runner-ups one year, right? And then a year later or whatever, they come back and they go to the championship. I think they were running or whatever. But I'm not a fan, dude. I'm sorry. I'm just not. I'm not a fan of this. I'm not.
Oh, I wish it would go away. But again, I wish more so the reason for it would go away. Like when I think I'm entering my old man yells at cloud, stage of my life, I'm one of the big contributors to that is thinking sports were better when you were younger. And I'm like, well, there's not even a question. Sports were better when I was younger. NFL, 1,000 times better, 20 years ago. NBA, 1,000 times better than it was, then than it was now. And the fact that the root of it all is that you're asking players to do less for more. Or if you're asking them to do anything that's a little bit more, they want 1,000 times the compensation. Like really to play a game in the middle of your season, you're going to win another $333,000. Like seriously? Like that's what we need to do here to incentivize you guys? I hate that. But again, like I said, if you strip all that away, you just see players being motivated, then yeah, that does make it fun. I hate that it exists. It to me means nothing. Even if the Sixers were in it, I would think it would be like people would in hockey, people would treat the Winter Classic, okay? Like it was a bigger game that it meant more. No, it was just game number 43 on the schedule, essentially. That's nobody cares. They care about the way it's presented, but if you win it, it's not like 5 points in the standings or anything like that in the hockey world. The other thing is, I caught a little bit of SportsCenter this morning, and I saw that they were interviewing Jalen Brunson after the game, and the lower third there said, Knicks win their first title of any kind since 1973. And I went, wow, that of any kind really takes the air out of the balloon there. Because what are we doing here? This is the thing that was created as a way to keep fans and team and players interested in the early goings of the season. which is, made for TV drama that I quite frankly don't care about.
Yeah, you know what? I don't care about it either. I think here the only people who care about it, and I shouldn't say this, but I am, are the cities involved in the media members who are covering it. And the reason why the media members who are covering it care about it is because, look, bro, I'm gonna be in Vegas for a week.
Yeah, right.
Or whatever for a few days. Even though after 2 days you're ready to leave Vegas, after a while, right? But yes. I'm gonna be in Vegas. So, you see all this, they're hyping it up, they're talking about it, this and that. It to me, it just I get what they're trying to do, but we're talking about a league where you got the referees arguing with and the argument is continuing. It went on today again. The referees
I saw that with Allah.
With Allah Abdul Nabdi over the play, and then and then people getting into it with Allah over it, other people going back and forth, and the fans taking up for him. You have a gambling situation that people are trying to sweep under the rug. We have all these soft tissue issues with players getting injured, right? I just don't. I'm not a fan of it. I'm sorry, I'm just not. And like again, if the Inquirer said, "Hey, Pompey, we need you to go to Vegas to cover the game," then I would be a fan, because guess what, y'all? I'm in Vegas for a couple of days, living up life, covering a game that really isn't. No one's going to talk about. Like, I'm gonna ask you, who won the in-season tournament last year?
The Lakers?
Nah, they won the first year.
Drat.
Yeah, so I mean that's what I'm saying. Who won the NBA Cup last year? That's what I just let me say NBA Cup
history
championship 2004. Okay, it was the Milwaukee Bucks. So the Milwaukee Bucks beat OKC. So OKC won the championship. Yeah. They beat the brakes off them. They beat them 97-81, right? So they won it. But you get my drift. Like, no one, thank you, Anthony Washington. But Anthony knows. But I didn't know. Like, I didn't know. You know what I mean? And then
Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
If the Sixers win the NBA Cup ever, where's the parade? Is it around the practice facility in Camden? Is that where the parade is? Where do they hold a parade? Where's the parade?
I'm gonna just say this.
Go around the sewage plant in Camden. That's what the parade will be.
I mean, heck, they may celebrate it, bro. Like, heck, I mean, they celebrating the 2001. Yeah, they're going to celebrate.
That's very true.
I wouldn't, but they may.
If the Sixers go on ESPN, if the Sixers win the cup, oh my God. If the Sixers win the NBA Cup, and they are interviewing Joel Embiid or Tyrese Maxey afterwards, and on the bottom of it says first championship of any kind since, well, I guess that would include the conference finals, but first championship of any kind since 2001, I would vomit. I would be like, this does not count. Please stop. But that's just me. That's just me.
Nah, I hope they wouldn't do it though. I mean, because here's my thing. Like, we're talking about the Eagles, right? The Eagles, let's say if the Eagles win, I mean, the Eagles won 2 Super Bowls in the last 5 years, was it? And been there 3 times. 8 years. 8 years, but they've been there 3 times.
Yes.
Yeah, you do not want to celebrate an NBA Cup. Now, if you get the NBA Cup and you win the championship, that's a successful season. Like, y'all swept it. Like, yeah. I'm him. We're him. We're them. We're them. So that's us. Whatever.
There you go.
But you can do that. But nah, man. Like the Bucks won the NBA Cup last year. Didn't make the playoffs, right? You know what I mean? The Lakers won the NBA Cup and was the 8th seed, right?
Congratulations, Doc Rivers.
Coach got fired. Like, nah, bro. Like, nah.
Doc Rivers, 2-time champion. 1 NBA Cup, 1 Boston Celtics.
Exactly. Now it's funny because, and it feel bad for the Lakers because They won the bubble championship in the NBA Cup.
All right, that's actually enjoyable. When I hear you say it, that's enjoyable. Keith Pompey, Marc Farzetta. This right here is Locked On 76ers. Make sure you guys like and subscribe and whatnot to Locked On 76ers. We'll be back with you guys tomorrow. Look forward to hearing from some of the Sixers today at the practice facility. And hey, if you need a last-minute holiday idea, a last-minute holiday gift, how about giving somebody the Everydayer Club Pass, ad-free, episodes of this show, exclusive Discord server access, and so much more. Subscriptions can be gifted through the custom link in our show notes. So make sure you guys check that out. And also check out LockedOn76ers.supercast.com. Like and subscribe, Locked On 76ers. Catch you guys tomorrow. Bye.